I found this one interesting. How does your competition prep affect your sex drive when you're in prep?
Well, do you want to answer that first?
I mean, from my personal experience last prep, I didn't lose mine at all. If anything, it got higher than fucking ever. I don't think I ever told you about it. I don't think we ever had that topic about it, but
No.
it was bad.
We talk about a lot of...
Yeah, but I don't think we ever... Well, pretty much how it was in my prep led to the stuff that happened in December time. That's like because I was just thinking with that. So I didn't lose mine at all, and I was completely natural. Whereas I know people who were natty and they lost their sex drive completely at maybe 15 weeks out, 20 weeks out, they lost it completely. And then I know enhanced that their sex drive was gone at maybe 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out of the comp. So I think it's different to everyone.
Yeah. So I think the reason why you didn't lose your libido is because you had your period all the way through prep, didn't you?
Yeah. Can you remember my hormones were perfect up until peak week, where then it fucking fell down and I had 2 periods in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, but you still have regular periods. It was just, for example, for me, in the beginning of prep, I'm always got like a normal libido. And it's true that when you start seeing yourself looking leaner and, you kind of like yourself, it's like something that we...
I was showing it off.
But it's something that we say back at home. We always say, "Oh, you get horny looking at yourself." It's kind of that. You started to look down, and then it's like, "Oh, I'm looking good," So it goes higher a bit. But for me, especially because I've lost my period in every single prep I've done. So this time, when did I lose my period? I think I lost it pretty early. I think I lost it around February. That's when my last period was. And then I was March, April, May, June, and July without period. So I've had 5 months. And it's been just now, a couple of days ago, that I have started spotting. So from there, I noticed from February my libido dropped slightly, but it was just at the end, especially I would say after the JT, I just couldn't. Because I was so tired. It's been more than the hunger. For me,
I was going to say, it's not even to do with your libido itself. It's how tired and exhausted you feel within yourself.
Your body prioritized. Your body prioritized.
That's the last thing you think about. Because for me, I think it was different because my prep, looking back now, my prep was easy. I had bad days, okay, I was moaning, I had shit going on, but my prep overall was very easy. And most of days, like even peak week, I was working night shifts. No monsters, no artificial sugars or anything like that. I was only on I think 2 black coffees a night. And I was like little crackhead. I was like bare food, like 9 liters of water. And I remember even the guys at work were like, are you on something? Because right now you have too much energy for what you're going through. You know what I mean? That's because I was just mentally so high. And so, don't get me wrong, I was still exhausted. I was obviously tired and energy was low, but I was just high on what's coming. If that makes sense.
I do understand. And also, if you are able to rest, that helps. For me it was more that I had to do a lot of things, and I was on a very low calories for a long time. I was in on 1,200 calories at least for 4 or 5 months, and then I had refits in between, but your body is still very depleted, and I had to go to work. I have to work nights. It was days that I was sleeping 3 hours because I finished a night, went back home, sleep 3 hours, go and pick up Savi, take Savi to martial arts, and still being a mom, walk the dog, So I was truly exhausted. So your body prioritizes. So what it has to prioritize? The heart, the kidneys, the organ being perfused. So it forgets about having sex, because having sex, if you think about as an animal, is to procreate. So the last thing your body wants to do at that moment is procreate, because you can't even keep yourself doing normal tasks.
You're in survival mode. You're in survival mode yourself. So, and I think that there's another big difference between how my life was and yours, because you're a mum and you're an ICU nurse, so you're always on the go. You have to get your prep stuff and everything in between your life, whereas for me, I could prioritize bodybuilding to a certain point. Like, the only thing that was fucked up for me is working nights and days, but even then I could work around it. My sleep wasn't the best, but I just took naps whenever I could. And with calories, your calories went low very quick, whereas for me, I was on pretty high calories and low cardio for most of my prep.
Yeah.
So I think there were the biggest differences between, and that just shows that everyone's journey is going to be different.
Yeah, and also, if I'm honest, this prep that I've done, it was very different to the previous preps I did, but we approach everything very different. And also, it was a time, I remember I had 2 weeks annual leave. I think it was in April. Yeah, it was the beginning of April, just before my NFM. And those 2 weeks, I was doing 90 minutes of cardio. And basically, you think about, I had annual leave from work, but I went to work, back to work more tired than what I was, because I was doing 90 minutes of cardio past my weights and everything. And now when prep is finished, I don't know if you've got that feeling too, it's like you look back and you think, how the hell I did it?
I went on Stairmaster for 5 minutes the other day. 1 minute 20 into it, I was fucking dying. I was there like out of breath, my legs was hurting, and I was on level 5 in prep. I don't know, I can't remember how high my cardio was, but I remember I was doing at least 1 hour on the Stairmasters before we took it out because of the inflammation. But I was on level 13 for 1 hour, just walking there, reading a book, and I was coming off and I was still like, okay.
Yeah.
And now
I think
I'm looking back and I'm like, whoa.
That must be how focused we are in get to look the way we want to look. Because it's no way you tell me now, go and do even half an hour on the cross trainer. I'll be like, you know,
I look at you and I'll be like, Olga, I respect you. Fuck off.
yeah, it's like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Just tell me to go for a nice walk, with nice hiking, with my dog, fine. But if you think about it, being 90 minutes stuck in the gym, doing the same movement all over again.
Yeah, staring at the wall as well. Sometimes.
Yeah, looking to the infinity and beyond. You know, it's like, no, I just think that shows how driven we are for what we want, that we are able to do that. And then when that goal is done, you can't do it.
No. And I think because like when you in your off season, you still obviously, like, I know I want to go back on stage in 2025, so I still have a goal in mind. We still have kind of a timeline that we're going to look for. Like, we've got a little roadmap in our heads what we're going to be aiming for. So the goal is there, but it's different when you're not in prep. I think in prep, because you're counting down, you can kind of see the end of the goal, whereas when you're in the off season, you keep reminding yourself, like, I'm building the body now for next time I step on stage. But like, the mindset is different. Like, you're still pushing, you're still trying your hardest, but just in a different way, and you're still driven, but you just, I don't know.
The way I always tell everybody, and it's something that I tell Simon, we take our off season the same way as we would take our prep. So we've got that mindset. We do the same on off season that what we do in prep. The only thing is, in prep you need to do some things then they are not needed in off season. So what I want to say is, like, in off season, depending on how your goal is, and for example, for me, because I walk a lot on daily basis, there are days that I'm purposely walking so much, and there are days that I do 23,000 steps. That is a lot of kilometers, like a lot. That's at least like 15K. That is enough activity and cardio. I don't need to top up with 20 minutes. However, the days that I'm going to be at home not doing much, maybe that day I'll do 20 minutes walking on the treadmill, because the way I'm focusing the cardio is just for a cardiovascular level. It's just to keep activity, to keep blood moving, to keep fit. Because, you see big bodybuilders that they cannot go up the hill without getting short of breath. That is because they cut all the cardio, and then they develop sleep apnea, and they go short of breath on a session because they have cut the cardio completely. I'm not really a fan of that. I think at least you should be walking, not cut cardio completely. But the need of the cardiovascular activity when you are building your body is not necessary, because you don't want to cut fat out. I don't know if I'm explaining myself. You want the cardio
more for your health of your heart than trying to stay fit, as in body weight kind of fit.
So, for example, for big bodybuilders, they do the cardio as well to promote the hunger, because they have to eat so much that they have to do something for them to be hungry, because the calories that they take in, sometimes they are not that hungry, and cardio helps them. So you see, depending on your goal, you do one thing, you do the other.
Yeah, definitely. I'm happy that I don't have cardio, so please don't bring it back until we start prep.
I don't think you need it anyway.
No, I think for me, I'm still pretty lean for how far we are, if I'm honest.
I mean, you are building yourself quite lean. But, if you look at the pro athletes, most of them build quite lean.
Yeah.
If you look at, I don't know, Laura Lee, well, she probably put a bit more weight on her lower body, but she's very dense, and you can see that all the fat goes in there. But, for example, Cristina Pajares, that is my posing coach, she builds in a lean way. Maureen Blanquisco, she builds in a lean way as well. But then you see people like Kerry Saxon, that she becomes bigger, or what's her name, Phoebe Hagan, she bulks a bit bigger. But I think it's depending on how your body is, and some people, for example, I tend to win weight quicker. So if you think about it, I'm 59 kilos, but I'm very chunky for 59 kilos. And if I don't take care of my diet, I'll go fat. So it's depending.
For me, I'm quite tall and lanky, and I've always had struggles of actually gaining fat. And even if I try, like, I think for me to get proper fat, I remember my first ever bulk before even Simon came into the picture. I think I was 77 kilos, but that wasn't muscle, that was purely fat, because I was like, oh, dirty bulk. I was just eating everything. I wasn't really tracking. I didn't take the off season seriously, because that was before the off season was off season. I just wanted to bulk. And then that was before our first time we decided to prep for that first competition in 2022. But that was the heaviest I was, and I didn't have any muscle, if I'm honest. It was mostly fat. And it showed, because then when we started cutting, I was still like, I can tell it when the first time I stepped on stage. Looking back on the pictures now, I'm like, what the fuck did I go out there for like that? But it's all experience. I'm not regretting it.
So I think the problem is, like, we probably thought, and in that moment Simon thought, that it was more underneath, and then you need it longer to prep, because it was much underneath.
There's that, and we've always said that my first season, because I never wanted to actually go and compete. I wanted to prep the first time, just for the sake, because I was doing personal trainings at the time, and I was like, I want to go through that to make me a better personal trainer, because I've been through the worst side of stuff. And then Simon was like, no, if you're going to prep, you're going to have to compete. So we used it as a trial. I didn't have any expectations of the show. We just kind of went out there just because I know it doesn't seem like it and people have different perspective of me, but I'm quite shy when it comes to being the center of attention. So it was more of me just testing my water, like, yeah, maybe I wasn't really in the shape I should have been. But in my head, I was like, I want to test the waters. I want to see and get out on stage, because if I hate it, I'm going to hate it regardless of how I'm going to look. So it was more for like the experience itself. And you know what? One thing that I really hate this year when I've been watching, especially the natural shows, so many negative comments going about, like, this person wasn't big enough, this person was too fat on stage, this person this. Who gives a fuck? Like, they're gonna go on stage, they're not gonna place. That's their fucking, that's their choice and that's their experience. Why does it bother you that someone that wasn't lean enough standing next to you in the line, they're not gonna win, but they're getting the experience?
Well, it's depending on the judging, really, because sometimes we've seen, I think the problem with the people that comment those things is because bodybuilding is always been condition and muscle. That's how bodybuilding is. And you wouldn't go to a football game without knowing how to play football. Or you wouldn't go to a professional tennis match without knowing how to service, would you? And I think the people that they are into the bodybuilding for several years, for them is they can't understand why someone would go not, for example, in condition, because that's what the sport requires. And I think the problem that more and more negative comments are coming is because nowadays everyone can jump on a stage. When if you go back to the golden era, or when you go back to the 80s, just a few people did this sport.
Yeah.
Because
but you know what? It's more to do, like, you can tell, because I've seen some videos where people were on there that wasn't ready, that were taking the piss out of bodybuilding. That, yes, I didn't agree with, because you could tell that they wasn't even trying. But there are some people, like, you can tell who they were trying. They've done all they could do, and maybe they just didn't have enough muscle, or the condition wasn't there. Like,
or a bad coaching, or maybe not bad coaching, maybe you and your coach haven't understand well, and then the prep hasn't gone well. But I think what I want to say, I'm not disrespecting anyone, because I did the same thing. I went on my first show not lean enough, but for me was the biggest achievement I ever did in my life. And thanks to that, I understood the sport, because I didn't have a clue what it was about. And I understood the sport, and I thought, you know what? I really want to do this, but I want to do it well. And then things. So for a lot of people, it's the start of a big career along the way. But I think the reason why people get that snappy is because there are people who have been in bodybuilding for a long time, and they don't understand that. They just understand. Yeah, so it's like commenting a football, game, or it's something as well that I've realized. I think people take bodybuilding very personal, because it's about how you look. So the thing is, bodybuilding is a sport, and you have to take the criticism as a sport, not personal. So if in your feedback you're gonna get like, you need more glute or you need more condition, it's not personal. It's not that you're fat. It's not like, but to be better on your sport, you need to do that. And I think it's very hypocritical that if you see, for example, the Euro Cup, you can say, oh, England has been playing rubbish. They are a bunch of suckers, whatever. Everyone can tell those people. But then you kind of critique bodybuilding, and you are the most horrible person ever. And I think it's just because they think you are critiquing the person. Well, the person is the sport. The person is the sport. So I think obviously there are ways and ways of critiquing. You don't need to be mean to critique a sport. Let's separate the things.
There is that difference as well, yeah. If you're giving someone genuine criticism and, you know, being like, do this, improve on this, then fair, but there's a difference when you do that and there's a difference when you're taking a piss out of
it was
someone.
like back on the JT, I'm just going to put my example, okay? Back in the JT this year, I approached one of the judges, and because I wanted to know my feedback, because I was like some weeks away from the M-Pro, and I did want to look my best at the M-Pro. So I approached him, and then I said, look, I'm doing the M-Pro in some weeks. What do I need? Because it was when I got second, and I wanted to know what could I have done to be first. And basically, he was trying, you know, to be very nice and tell me the things in a way that he wasn't telling me the truth.
Sugarcoating things.
Yeah. And I said to him, you can't talk to me. I'm not going to get it personal. So then he kind of like breathed out and he said, well, your glutes look very flat from the side comparing for what the first place was. That's all I needed. I'm not going to think my glutes are flat. I don't think I like my glutes. I'm pretty happy with it.
Take it as, this is where I'm going to have to put my work in to improve for the next show.
And there are things, you know, I see a lot in beginners that they win a show, one show, or they place in one show place. And then they think they need to place and they deserve to place in every federation they go. And then if they don't place, then they don't want to hear any feedback. Who do you think you are? Even Chris Banstead in there is still getting the feedback from the judges to see how he can improve. So if Chris Banstead can get feedback, why you can't?
It's the game. It's how the game goes. You're gonna go on there. They're gonna judge you. They're gonna give you feedback.
I might be very how can I say? There are people that would like that or don't, but I think in the amateur line, there is a lot of ego.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of people needs a bit of a humble dose, to be honest, because we are all amateur. And that's the sadness. Yeah, it is better amateurs because they've been longer or they've got better genetics or they work fucking hard, okay? And they are really good. That's how the line is. You compete with some good people, but it's a lot of egos. And we are all trying to get a pro level. So I don't know. I just don't understand all the people that goes on a stage and then they don't place in the place they think and they take the medal in front of the... I think it's such a bit disrespect.
Yeah.
Oh, the doggy. Hello.
He wants to have his say in it.
Yeah, because there are a lot of people over there. Your dog agrees.
He's like, I want attention now. We've been on there for ages.
Yeah. Just more questions. Look, there Luna is coming. I think she's heard your dog and is coming. Yes, it's here
He's
now.
trying to sit on my lap. It's not going to happen. I think we covered... look at him. We covered most of the questions. The main one, I feel like this one will need a separate episode because this one's going to be a big one for me as well. But it's the pet peeves that we have in bodybuilding. So what annoys us in bodybuilding? Ooh. And I feel like that's a big subject to just touch on. I think we're going to need a full episode on.
I just said one.
Yeah, there's that.
That annoys me.
But I feel like there's a lot more that we can do.
Another thing, we leave it for the next one, but another thing is the I know it all kind of coach. And it's just because recently, you know, it's something I want to say. There isn't a person in the world that knows everything. And I think to be a better professional or a better coach, a better whatever you do in life, you have to have room for learn. And for learn, you have to listen. Maybe you think you know something, and then someone comes you with something, and you are not willing to listen what that person has to say. Just because.
1 second, Olga. I'm gonna have to take you outside with me because I think that's what he wants.
I want to say that to be a good professional, doesn't matter what you do in life, you need to have room for learn, and you have to assume that you don't know everything. And
you have to be open to learning. I think that's the main one.
Yeah, because it's impossible. No one knows everything. It's always room for learn. And I feel there are a lot of people that have to show they know a lot. And then when someone comes with something that they don't know, they cut you out of the equation. Like they don't want to listen. And I find that very annoying, very annoying. Because it happens to me very often, and it's something that annoys me. And I know, I don't know everything, but about human body, it happens that I know a little more than regular people, because it happens that I've done a master and I've done a uni degree on something that is related with human body. So when I know something, I know it. And how can I say this without sounding mean? I'm very fed up of people into the bodybuilding world shutting me up with no facts just because they don't want to look like they don't know. Mate, I'm not telling you off. I'm not giving you a lecture. We are sharing things. And if I can put in your plate something that you didn't have before, what's the problem?
Take it and learn from it.
I don't like when people treat me like I don't know what I'm saying when I do know. And that's something that happens very often in bodybuilding people. It's a lot of unqualified people saying a lot of things that they are not facts. And that annoys me.
Yeah, definitely.
I just said it.
I mean, I think we're going to say a lot more things on here with time. That's going to piss people off and offend people. So I think, but yeah, I think I'm going to leave mine till next time we do it. But definitely, especially, I think this one can link onto what you said. But as well, anyone nowadays thinks they can be a coach, especially someone who's done one season and they've placed well, and then they come off stage and they're like, I'm a coach now. But realistically, you've done one season, you followed what your coach has told you to do. So what the fuck do you know about coaching? What are you going to do? You're going to give that plan that your coach gave to you to give it to someone else? Anyone can do this.
Do you know what I would like to happen in bodybuilding? It will never happen because it's a lot of money, under with fitness industry and stuff. But I really would like some regulation about who can coach. To coach someone, you have to be prepared. You have to be, you have to have certain understanding and certain level of qualification. I said it before in one of the stories I made. If you need, I don't know, if you're gonna take a plane, you don't want me to drive your plane because I haven't got an idea. I'm not a pilot. I can actually kill you. Or if you need surgery, you're gonna go to a good surgeon, don't you? You are not gonna put yourself
let anyone take charge.
Yeah. So why we do this in bodybuilding? Why bodybuilding is different?
You know what? As well, I think, especially nowadays with the whole idea of social media, everyone just thinks bodybuilding is cool, so I'm gonna do it. And then they watch so many fucking Sam Sulek videos and they feel like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do steroids because this 19-year-old is jacked from taking it. But have you seen his skin? Have you seen how he's actually, long term, it's not gonna happen. And all he does is does video for YouTube and takes money from it, but he's sacrificing his health. But that gives people the idea.
I just got because that's what they see. Calm down a little, just down a little.
Now?
There. Yeah, that.
So, people, there's my dishes in the back. people have that idea with social media now that it's like anyone can do anything and it's fine.
And
But
also
educate yourself first.
becomes trendy. For example, now the trend is the blogs. Everyone gets blogs and everyone thinks that they can learn and advise about the blogs. But what people don't know is blog is just a part of the puzzle. Sometimes blog doesn't show the entire picture. And when you take blogs, what's the purpose you're taking the blogs for? What do you want to found? What is like, yeah, sometimes the figures are in ranges, but when they are not in range, you really truly know why they are not in range? No, you don't. And when, for example, your liver figures get raised, or because you are in orals or taking PEDs, oh yeah, if you leave the PEDs for a while, then those figures will come back to normal. Yeah, but do you know if the organ is actually damaged? Are you advising an ultrasound? If you are taking a growth hormone, are you ultrasounding or having an echocardio to see that your heart is not growing more than what it should because you're getting growth hormone? I don't know. Like, everyone think about that the bloods is the new, but it's not. It's just a part of a puzzle. And if you are not trained, you don't know what to look for on the bloods. And it's something that, now everyone, even you go to the gym and then you hear this gym bro that doesn't have any kind of qualification. Oh, no, mate, bring me your blood and I will be able to tell you. No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't be able
You have no
to.
idea.
So that is probably what annoys me the most. Yeah. A lot of Google doctors in the industry, apparently. I don't know, why I've spent so many years of my life getting certificates and diplomas and masters when I just could be a coach.
You wasted. You wasted your time and energy.
Yeah, and then if someone tells me something to give me some teaching or learning, I'll just shut them up and treat them like they are stupid.
Yeah, because you know it all. You know it all. So you just wasted your time, your energy. You could have been doing this years ago. Just wake up one day, decide that you identify as a coach, and fucking do it. 2024, you're allowed.
Because I can identify with whatever I want. Can I? Anyway.
I think this is a good point to end this.
We're going to be standable enough for people to watch us for an hour talking. But this leads me for the next podcast, because it's been a bit of introduction, really answering some questions. But I really want to know topics that people want to, and then we can, starting bringing people to talk about different topics, maybe coaches or, well, depending on that coach. Or I would like, to contact some people to see if I could be talking with people that really knows. For example, I don't know if my friend Paula will be keen on it. She speaks English, but she's a vet, and she's very on clenbuterol. Not that she's on it, but is a veterinarian drug, and she's very good explaining what does that. I think she would be really good explaining that. But obviously, I just want to know what people want to do. I'll get the next podcast about the PEDs ready, because I really want to have a structured podcast so I can talk about it in order. Yeah. And shall we? Do you think it's a good idea?
Yeah, I think so. And then from there we can just pick a topic or specific thing and structure each episode differently every week. Not every week, every time that we do it.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, every week with the kind of life we have, it's going to be a bit difficult.
But yeah, I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I'm pleased we've done that. I'm pleased with how it went. Well, it's been lovely to see you and to know about life with you.
It's always a pleasure with you.
Yeah, bye. Bye.